Imagine you've grabbed a burger from a place you used to love. It's been too long since your last visit and you're hoping for that old familiar taste. You unwrap it expecting that first burst of heat and beef, but it never comes. The patty feels soft, almost spongy. The flavor's there, but faint like a memory replayed too many times. The juice slides down your hand thinner than it should be, leaving behind the strange taste of oil and something metallic. You take another bite just to be sure, and that's when it hits you. This isn't beef. It's a simulation. Once upon a time, a burger meant something simple: ground beef sizzling on a hot grill salt in the air, and that first satisfying chew that needed nothing extra. But the present tastes different. Chains have quietly traded that honesty for binders enhancers and factory tricks that stretch every ounce further. Here's the hard truth: those places aren't few anymore. In this video, we're exposing 6 burger chains whose patties aren't 100% real beef. Sometimes even comfort food can lie. Number 1. Dairy Queen's. Dairy Queen's burger looks the part: hot wrapper, soft bun, grill marks drawn just right. You unwrap it, and the sound hits first: a sharp hiss, that comforting sizzle that makes you believe real beef is on the griddle. For a second, it works. The smell of char, the faint smoke, the promise of something hearty, all the signs are there. But the moment you bite, the illusion breaks. The patty presses down like a sponge, not a steak. The texture is smooth, almost elastic, and the juice that runs out isn't beef fat at all. You chew again just to be sure, and the feeling only grows stranger. Something's missing: the firmness, the bite, the flavor that used to linger. That's because Dairy Queen's burger isn't just beef. According to the chain's own ingredient list, the patty is made from beef encapsulated salt and spice. It sounds minor, even technical, but it's a quiet rewrite of what a burger really is. Encapsulated salt means every grain of salt is coated in fat. It doesn't touch the meat right away. It waits until the heat rises enough to melt the coating. That's how factories keep the mix consistent from batch to batch, state to state, month to month. At first glance, it's clever, the science of control. The delayed salt keeps the meat looking plump, stops it from tightening, and gives every patty that soft, uniform chew. For logistics, it's perfection, but for taste, it's deception. Because the flavor that defines beef, that dry, deep savor that comes from salt reacting with fat and heat, is delayed too. By the time it arrives, the bite is already gone. Beneath the surface, this isn't about cooking anymore. It's about manufacturing. What you hear in that sizzle isn't the sound of beef reacting to flame. It's the sound of a product engineered to sound like beef. Those grill marks, they were likely pressed on before the patty ever met heat. The crust, you see, more cosmetic than caramelized. For Dairy Queen, it's a business miracle: burgers that travel frozen, thaw perfectly, and never turn out too dry. But for anyone who still remembers what a burger used to taste like, it's a small heartbreak. The bite is too easy, the chew too, even the finish too quick. Real beef resists you a little. It asks for a second bite, a moment to sink in. This one just disappears. And here's the part most diners never think about: encapsulated salt doesn't just control taste, it controls time. The factory decides when flavor should appear, not the cook. Not the flame, not you. It's a burger built for systems, not for appetite. The sad thing is, Dairy Queen still markets these burgers as home-style, as if there's something handmade about a patty perfected in a lab. The word rolls easily off the menu board, but it doesn't survive the first bite. Home was once a place where food carried the imperfections of the person who made it: a touch too crisp, a little uneven, but always honest. This instead is a sound check of comfort, the performance of real food, not the taste of it. Only later, maybe halfway through the meal, do you realize how quiet it feels. No aroma clinging to your hands, no warmth lingering on the tongue. Just a uniform finish engineered to vanish cleanly like it was never there. Dairy Queen built its name on something genuine: real cream, real smiles, real small-town warmth. But its burger ironically stands for the opposite. In the end, Dairy Queen's patty isn't grilled, it's managed. A burger that sounds alive but tastes rehearsed. The warmth remains, but the honesty is gone. Number 2. Arby's. Arby's built its empire on the claim that they have the meats plural. The irony is even their burgers can't decide what meat they want to be. According to the label, the Arby's patty isn't just beef. It's a blend of beef encapsulated salt, spice, autolyzed yeast extract, and mustard. Each ingredient has a purpose: not to elevate flavor, but to control it. The yeast extract boosts savoriness without adding real richness, the encapsulated salt keeps color uniform, and the mustard hides the flatness of frozen transport. On paper, it's a system that makes sense. In a mouth, it's a performance that feels rehearsed. Beyond that slogan, the chain's new burgers mark a subtle shift from craft to calibration. Each bite delivers that smoky note Arby's markets so well, yet few realize it's tuned by chemistry, not flame. For the company, it's consistency. For customers, it's confusion. Because something about the taste feels staged. It starts strong, even indulgent, but then fades faster than it should. The first few chews are salty and rich, but there's no depth, no aftertaste. Just a lingering sense that you've been given a copy of a memory. Regulars don't always know what's changed, but they feel it. They'll say the burgers don't hit the same, or that they used to have more flavor. That's the quiet fatigue of formula. The body recognizes the salt, but the brain misses the beef. On paper, Arby's has succeeded. The burger looks perfect, cooks evenly, and survives the journey from factory to fryer to foil without complaint. But the human response is harder to standardize. People notice when flavor feels shallow. They take the first bite, nod, and by the third, the excitement is gone. It's not disappointment, it's disinterest. A kind of flavor fatigue that makes you chew on autopilot. Moreover, this change doesn't provoke outrage, it provokes indifference. Some customers just stop ordering the burger altogether, drifting back to the roast beef sandwiches that made the brand famous. Others keep eating it but stop craving it. And in a business built on repetition, on the promise that every visit feels the same, that loss of emotional pull matters. Yet the irony runs deeper. The louder the ads boast, "We have the meats," the less anyone talks about what kind of meat that really is. The chain still carries the swagger, the base-heavy commercials, the confidence of quantity. But beneath it, the product itself has grown quiet. No aroma, no buildup, no memory that lingers after the meal. Customers leave full, but not satisfied. They'll say it's fine, not bad, not great, and that's the danger. Fine is the word no brand wants to hear. It's not about the ingredients alone, it's about the feeling of eating something designed instead of cooked. People sense when food has lost its rough edges, when it's too uniform, too safe, too easy. Arby's burger doesn't offend anyone, but it doesn't move anyone either. It sits in the middle, polite and forgettable, the culinary version of background noise. And that's where trust begins to erode, not through scandal, but through sameness. When every flavor starts to taste like a memory on repeat, diners don't complain. They drift away. They start looking for something with a little imperfection again, something that tastes like it was made, not managed. Arby's will keep saying they have the meats. Technically they do. But what used to feel bold now feels borrowed. The flavor performs exactly as designed, and that precision paradoxically is what makes it hollow. By the last bite, customers aren't angry. They're unmoved. Because nothing is worse for a burger chain than a meal that ends not with disappointment, but with silence. In the end, Arby's burger proves its own tagline, right? They have the meats, just not the one that still tastes like beef. Number 3, Jack in the Box. Under bright kitchen lights, the Jack in the Box burger looks less like food and more like a project, shiny, symmetrical, every surface sealed with a faint gloss. The wrapper peels back cleanly as if designed by an engineer, not a cook. At first glance, nothing feels wrong. The patty is round, the color perfect, the bun unblemished, but crack the wrapper and you see why. Jack in the Box's beef isn't just beef. It's a seasoned beef patty containing autolyzed yeast extract, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, soy flour, methyl cellulose, and natural flavors, according to the company's ingredient disclosures. That's not seasoning, that's structure. Each additive serves a mechanical purpose. The yeast extract fakes a richer umami note, the hydrolyzed proteins boost aroma, the methyl cellulose acts as a thermal stabilizer to hold the shape under heat lamps. The soy flour stretches protein yield without changing color. To the system, it's progress. You get a patty that can be cooked, held, and reheated with the same predictable texture every single time. It doesn't shrink, doesn't weep. Grease doesn't vary by store or season. It's what the industry calls a smart patty. But the perfection hides a quiet loss, a flattening of what used to make burgers feel alive. Food scientist Dr. Julie Miller-Jones once explained it this way. When a food becomes so uniform that every bite is identical, the brain stops rewarding the experience. We crave variation, that's what tells us something is real. And that's exactly what's missing here. For the diner, it's a pause. The first chew feels convincing enough, soft, warm, savory, but the flavor never unfolds. It stays locked in place, as if buffered by design. There's no rough edge, no contrast between crust and center. It's food made to perform, not to evolve. After a few bites, most customers describe the same sensation: fullness without flavor, satisfaction without joy. It's not bad, it's just sterile. Meanwhile, the store hums under fluorescent light metal counters, reflecting stainless precision. Everything gleams, everything moves efficiently, and nothing feels personal. This is the fast food dream realized: speed, safety, and sameness. But it also feels eerily quiet, like eating in a lab built to prove how fast tradition can be replicated. Culinary historian Dr. Marion Nestle once called this the automation of appetite. She wrote that as food scaled to fit the industrial model, pleasure was traded for predictability, and predictability became the new comfort. It's a line that fits Jack in the Box perfectly. Because here tradition, the smoky, imperfect, fire-fed ritual of a burger, doesn't clash with capitalism. It collapses under it. The flame is replaced by formula, the cook by protocol. And yet most customers adapt. They describe the burger as fine, consistent, easy to eat. There's a strange comfort in not having to think. The brand knows it. They designed the food to feel familiar enough to forget. Marketing doesn't sell flavor anymore. It sells reliability. The burger isn't meant to surprise you. It's meant to never disappoint you. That's the emotional contract of modern fast food. Psychologists call this the satisfaction plateau, the point where pleasure stabilizes just below delight. You don't crave it. You tolerate it. It's the taste of convenience, not of care. And every bite of this burger reinforces that truth. To the company, it's a technological victory, a product that behaves. To the customer, it's emotional drift, a meal that leaves no trace. By the last bite, the difference becomes clear. The Jack in the Box burger isn't really pretending to be homemade anymore. It's performing a version of authenticity, one wrapped in science, sealed in plastic, and sold at scale. In the end, Jack in the Box serves a burger so stable, it outlasts its own flavor, a lab result wrapped in lettuce. And in a world that once worshipped the grill, it's proof that the future of food doesn't always come with fire. Sometimes it hums under fluorescent light. Number 4. Sonic. Why does Sonic still feel like a piece of classic America and yet taste so unmistakably modern? Drive by one and you can still see the outline of the past bright stalls, under neon arches, roller skates, gliding between cars, the hum of old pop songs spilling from speakers. Sonic sells nostalgia as much as food. It's a drive-in frozen in time, or at least it wants to be. But behind that familiar glow is a company forced to live in the most unforgiving reality of modern fast food, the math of consistency. Sonic isn't a restaurant where you sit and linger. It's an engine built on speed. Hundreds of cars move through every hour. The menu spans from burgers to milkshakes to chili tots, all made in kitchens smaller than a suburban garage. For that to work, everything inside must behave like clockwork, from the fryer oil to the burger patty. Every second lost to variation means another car idling, another customer tapping a steering wheel. That's the real secret behind Sonic's steady smile predictability. Behind the cheerful menu boards, corporate planners have been quietly refining that goal for decades. The question they face isn't, how do we make it taste amazing? It's how do we make it taste identical in every state, every month, every season? The answer, like much of modern food, lies in the invisible layer between cooking and engineering. To feed thousands of drive-ins with minimal waste, you can't rely on instinct or local sourcing. You rely on formulations, patties that brown evenly no matter who flips them, seasoning blends that release flavor on schedule, stabilizers that keep moisture where it should be. These are not culinary luxuries, they're insurance policies. Food logistics consultant Dr. Brian Fink once said, "In fast food, uniformity isn't the dream, it's the defense. It protects the brand from the humans inside the kitchen." And that logic runs deep through Sonic's supply chain. The system isn't built to reward creativity, it's built to prevent mistakes. It's easy to romanticize the old drive-in era, teenagers on roller skates, sizzling grills, burgers cooked by smell and touch. But Sonic operates in a world where a single inconsistency can spiral online in hours. A dry burger, a too salty bite, a different shade of brown, each one risks reputation. To stay alive in that environment, Sonic must run not like a diner, but like a data center. That's why even as they keep the vintage branding, the food itself has quietly adapted to the economics of now. Frozen distribution lowers cost volatility. Pre-seasoned patties reduce training requirements. Flavor timing ensures uniformity, even during rush hours. None of these things appear on the menu because they're not marketing points, they're mechanical necessities. The transformation hasn't gone unnoticed. Longtime customers sometimes describe Sonic's burgers as fine or consistent but rarely memorable. They come for convenience, not curiosity. They stay because it's easy, not because it's extraordinary. And that's the paradox of Sonic's success. The more reliable it becomes, the less alive it feels. Yet from a business standpoint, the strategy works. The drive-in nostalgia draws you in, the controlled process keeps you satisfied, and the quiet uniformity ensures you'll come back not for excitement, but for certainty. In the end, Sonic hasn't betrayed its roots. It has preserved them in plastic wrap and policy manuals. The car hops still smile, the menu still sings of the past, and the burgers still arrive warm and quick. but the flavor that once defined the moment has been replaced by something subtler, the taste of a system doing exactly what it was built to do. Because in modern America, that silence you hear at a Sonic drive-in isn't emptiness. It's the sound of efficiency running perfectly on time. Number 5. Pilot Flying J. "You don't stop here for flavor," one trucker said, wiping diesel dust off his hands. "You stop because it's open, it's hot, and it's there." Out on the interstate, hunger isn't a craving, it's a checkpoint. The road doesn't wait, and neither do the people who live on it. That's why places like Pilot Flying J have become the quiet heartbeat of the highway. 1 million travelers pass through their doors every week, chasing miles and minutes more than taste. Inside, the smell isn't quite smoke or spice, more like heat oil and repetition. Burgers sit under steady lamps, waiting for the next set of boots to walk in. The patties are uniform. The buns soft, the cheese pre-folded for speed. Every item is designed to survive the rhythm of travel, frozen, stored, reheated, served. No mystery, no surprise, just fuel. Pilot's Steak Burger. Patty isn't made to win contests. It's made to hold together after 1,000 miles of transport. The label reads like a survival plan, beef blended with dextrose natural flavor spice, just enough to stay moist, not enough to stand out. It's not deception, it's durability. The trucker who eats here isn't looking for farm to table. He's looking for today's meal before tomorrow's delivery. Out on the road, that practicality makes sense. The farther the route, the cheaper the flavor. Because when time itself is a cost, food becomes part of the math. Every second spent seasoning, cooking, or checking texture is a second lost to the clock. Pilot doesn't sell comfort, it sells continuity. And to the people who live on deadlines, that's worth more than taste. If you stand in line for a while, you notice the rhythm truckers grab, pay, nod, leave. No conversation, no indulgence, just habit. For them, a burger isn't a treat. It's a brief, hot pause between states. The rappers crinkle the engines, hum outside, and the highway swallows the sound as soon as they're gone. That's the trade-off at the core of this chain: endurance over excellence. It's not about cutting corners, it's about cutting uncertainty. Food that lasts longer cooks faster and pleases enough people to keep the convoy moving. It's the compromise that keeps an economy running at full speed. But there's something quietly sad in that precision. Somewhere between the grill and the gas pump, the soul of the diner faded. The warmth remains, but the care got scheduled out. Workers flip patties by timer, not instinct. Customers eat by reflex, not hunger. Both sides just trying to make it through the shift. You can't really blame them. Out here, miles matter more than menus. A burger that's good enough beats one that's late. That's not laziness, it's survival. For the company, for the trucker, for the system that demands everything move without pause. And yet there's a kind of honesty in that. No slogans, no pretense, no artisan language, just a hot burger and a paper wrap built for the road ahead. It's not pretending to be fresh or local or pure. It's admitting what most of modern fast food has become: reliable fuel for people with no time to wait. Still, as viewers, it's worth asking what that reliability costs us. When food stops carrying care, what else gets stripped away with it? Convenience has become the country's favorite flavor, but it dulls the palate slowly, quietly, until we stop remembering what real cooking feels like. Maybe that's where the advice lies. Not in judging the chains, but in breaking the rhythm once in a while. The next time you're on the road, pull over somewhere small. Let someone cook your meal instead of assemble it. Wait a little longer. Taste the imperfection. Because even the busiest highways deserve a pause, and so do the people driving them. In the end, Pilot Flying J's burger isn't trying to impress anyone. It's built to endure a small, warm promise on a long, cold road. Number 6. Wendy's. If there's one chain that built its empire on the word fresh, it's Wendy's. From billboards to jingles, the promise is everywhere: fresh, never frozen beef. It sounds simple, confident, trustworthy. And that's exactly the point. Wendy's isn't just selling burgers. It's selling relief, the comfort of believing that someone somewhere is still doing things the honest way. At first glance, the claim seems unshakable. You can hear the sear, see the smoke, and even catch the faint scent of char that fast food usually hides. Everything about the experience whispers authenticity. But beneath that familiar red logo lies a truth that's more calculated than it appears. According to company policy, Wendy's defines fresh, not as never chilled, but as never fully frozen before cooking. The patties are kept at a cold, near-freezing temperature during transport, often below 34 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold enough to stop bacterial growth and extend travel time, but not cold enough to be called frozen by federal standards. It's a line so thin that it's measured in semantics, not science. In practice, Wendy's beef travels through the same national distribution network as nearly every other major chain. The difference is in language, not logistics. Their meat suppliers use vacuum-sealed packaging and nitrogen chill systems to slow decay during cross-country shipping. It's efficient, safe, and standardized. It's also the quiet backbone of an empire that can promise fresh without breaking a single rule. Beneath the promise, the process runs like a production model. Central processing facilities shape and seal the patties before they ever reach the restaurant. The store itself becomes the final stage, a performance of handmade built around carefully designed visibility. The open grill, the exposed prep counter, the audible crack of the spatula, all of it creates what marketing strategists call the illusion of labor. You see the burger being made, and you feel the freshness even if it began its life hundreds of miles away. It works brilliantly, because most customers don't question definitions. They react to signals. The sizzle, the sightline, the slogan, they combine into something powerful, a sense of participation. When you order at Wendy's, you feel like you're part of the process, not just the transaction. The illusion doesn't insult your intelligence. It flatters your instincts. It gives you something bigger than a burger. It gives you permission to trust again. For customers, it's comfort, not proof. They choose Wendy's because it feels closer to home, less industrial, more human. They believe the grill marks mean something, that the word fresh is a moral stance, not a marketing phrase. And perhaps in a way it is. Because what Wendy's truly sells isn't deception, it's faith in a version of the past that feels safe to remember. Yet in the age of modern supply chains, that kind of faith is a product too. The truth is, freshness today isn't about distance from the freezer, it's about distance from discomfort. The word doesn't describe the food anymore, it describes the feeling you're supposed to have while eating it. Look closer and you'll notice how precisely that emotion is built. The store lighting is warmer than most competitors. The packaging color palette beige, red, and cream was chosen to evoke warmth and trust. Even the script font on quality as our recipe is hand-drawn to look imperfectly human. Every detail sells the same story. You can still believe in something real. But somewhere between the slogan and the system, the word fresh lost its literal meaning. What's left is emotional shorthand, a promise polished until it shines like truth. And maybe that's why the illusion works so well. Because people don't actually want to be lied to. They just want to feel seen. The word fresh gives them that a sense of control, of good choice, of quiet reassurance in a world that rarely slows down long enough to explain itself. So no, Wendy's doesn't lie. It just speaks the language we all want to hear. In the end, Wendy's doesn't hide its truth, it refines it. Its burgers are safe, its process clean, its message perfect. And that perfection is what makes it so convincing. We've seen how 6 familiar chains turned something simple, the American burger, into a system of shortcuts, signals, and stories. None of them started with bad intentions. They started with ambition, with pressure, with the same question every industry now faces. How do you feed millions without losing their trust? But trust doesn't live in slogans. It lives in awareness. Every time you pause, read, or question what's behind that perfect picture, you reclaim a little control that marketing quietly took away. So keep your curiosity sharp. Don't fear what's hidden, confront it. Because food isn't just what fills you, it's what shapes you. And the moment you start to see through the polish, you'll never look at a drive-thru the same way again. Awareness isn't cynicism, it's courage, the courage to eat with open eyes and to demand something real again.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.